There is nothing more heartbreaking to football fans than waking up to news of key players of your favorite team being posted on the injury reserve list. They know that losing starters could crumble their season's success. Well, as it seems, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been the most affected. In today's episode, we will highlight who will miss the season from their roster and what John Spytek believes is the solution to their woes. Injuries are inevitable, so the Bucs always have a plan. In professional sports, injuries are a sad fact of life, especially in a physically demanding sport like football. It can mean the difference between making the playoffs or missing them, between winning the title or returning home empty-handed. To be able to respond to injuries with players who can fill the role appropriately. Even during their most prosperous periods, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were aware of this fact. Most recently, the Buccaneers were able to keep things together long enough for standout defensive tackle Vita Vea to recover from a broken leg in Week 5 of the regular season and help the club win the Super Bowl. Key players for the Buccaneers this season, including Pro Bowl center Ryan Jensen, have already suffered some major injuries. The Buccaneers' Vice President of Player Personnel, John Spytek, addressed the media on Wednesday about the team's procedure for preparing backup plans in case of injuries. That, in my opinion, is something that is overlooked. There will inevitably be injuries. You should have a plan for how to correct it and fix it quickly because you can't foresee when or where it will happen, he spoke. The Bucs have established themselves as one of the NFL's most skilled front offices. It takes a team effort that necessitates extensive research and a lot of work from a team of scouts and decision makers. At the majority of positions, they have developed strong depth and they don't hesitate to take the required action to add the quality they need to remain in contention for the championship. Their woes started on August 15th when Bucs placed running back Kenjon Barner on injured reserve. One of the running backs for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be out for the remainder of the 2022 campaign. The organization reported on Monday that Kenjon Barner had been placed on injured reserve. In the first preseason game against the Miami Dolphins on Saturday night, Barner rushed for 18 yards on 7 carries and added 13 yards on 2 receptions. Patrick Laird, a former Dolphins running back, was signed by Tampa Bay to take Barner's place on the 90-man active roster. Keanu Neal's injury forced him to miss the remainder of the preseason. According to Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times, Tampa Bay Buccaneers safety Keanu Neal will miss the balance of the 2022 preseason due to an undisclosed ailment. Neal was hurt while participating in a joint practice in Nashville with the Tennessee Titans. According to the Pewter Report, he departed the session with what seemed to be an arm injury. Neal is anticipated to add seasoned depth to Tampa Bay's secondary after agreeing to a 1-year contract with the Bucs in free agency. The Buccaneers anticipate that he will be fully recovered before the start of the regular season, according to Stroud. Zion McCollum left practice the next day due to a hamstring ailment. According to Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times, rookie cornerback Zion McCollum left a joint practice with the Tennessee Titans. McCollum, a Sam Houston State product who was selected in the 5th round of the 2022 NFL Draft, has impressed during training camp and currently holds the number 4 cornerback position. I hope it's not a serious injury that would prevent McCollum from playing during the regular season. On August 22nd, the Bucs placed Cam Gill and Aaron Stiney on injured reserve. Outside linebacker Cam Gill and center Aaron Stiney were both placed on injured reserve by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, making it impossible for them to play for the team in 2022. In the Buccaneers' first preseason game against the Miami Dolphins on August 13th, Gill sustained a Lisfranc injury to his right foot. Prior to the injury, he made 4 tackles, a sack, and 2 tackles for loss. In the preseason game against Tennessee on Saturday, Stiney suffered injuries to the ACL and MCL in his left knee. These 2 actions bring the Buccaneers roster down to 81 players. In order to be eligible to return off the injured reserve list during the regular season, players must first be kept on the 53-man roster following the last round of roster cuts on August 30th. Prior to that date, those who were placed on injured reserve are unable to play for their original team during the current campaign, while they may be able to play for another if they are able to settle their injury-related contract and become a free agent. In this instant, it is more likely that Gill and Stiney's injuries will prevent them from playing until the following year. In 2022, Gill was anticipated to take on a bigger defensive responsibility as one of a 4-man rotation at edge rusher. Over the previous 2 seasons, he had appeared in 25 games for the Buccaneers, although he had 460 more special teams snaps than defensive ones, 122. In the Bucs' victory in Super Bowl 55, he provided 1.5 quarterback takedowns and half a sack. Stiney, the most seasoned contender, competed for the left guard position to replace retiring Pro Bowler Ali Marpet. Now, second-round rookie Luke Goedeke and second-year player Nick Leverett are most likely to compete for that position. Over the previous 2 seasons in Tampa, Stiney participated in 12 regular season games, making 1 start at left guard in 2021. Additionally, after Alex Cappa was hurt, he started the final 3 games of the Buccaneers' run to the 2020 Super Bowl at right guard, earning praise for his effort. Now, only recently, they lost Robert Hainsey and Nick Leverett. The offensive line of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers keeps suffering injuries. After an 11-day hiatus, quarterback Tom Brady played in just 1 preseason game this week, and 2 more contenders for the starting job guarding the 45-year-old quarterback were hurt. Ryan Jensen, a Pro Bowl center, and left guard Aaron Stiney were already sidelined by knee injuries on Saturday's preseason finale against the Indianapolis Colts. Jensen's replacement, Robert Hainsey, departed the game in the second quarter with a left ankle injury and did not come back. Despite initially needing help, he was able to leave the field on his own. Then in the third quarter, Nick Leverett, who was competing for the starting left guard job and had replaced Hainsey at center, suffered a shoulder injury, forcing the Bucs to use John Molchon as a 4th center. Todd Bowles, the coach of the Buccaneers, claimed he was unaware of the nature of Robert Hainsey and Nick Leverett's ailments. Tristan Wirfs, a Pro Bowl left tackle, missed Saturday's preseason game, which the Colts won 27-10, due to an oblique injury. However, he did participate in pregame warm-ups and is now classified day-to-day. When questioned about the offensive line, Bowles expressed little concern, stating he would not draw any hasty conclusions about the injuries. "I am aware that they were stolen," he admitted. "There is no substitute for offensive line play. You have the option of playing your entire career without ever receiving a blow to the back of the leg or receiving one every single week. So we'll wait to see what the x-rays reveal before moving forward." Despite having been away for a long period, Brady only played a few games, but had a relatively clean pocket and had little rust. He completed 6 of his 8 throws for 44 yards, paving the way for kicker Ryan Suckup to make a 30-yard field goal. Finally, as a bonus, Baltimore Ravens mascot Poe carted off field after being injured during halftime youth football game. Evidently, the Baltimore Ravens' unlucky streak with injuries continued into the previous campaign. At halftime of Saturday night's preseason finale between the Baltimore Ravens and the Washington Commanders, Poe, the team mascot for the Baltimore Ravens, was carried off the field during a mascot versus children football game. Poe needed his left leg stabilized and had to be lifted onto the wagon by 3 persons. Poe was hurt when a young football player caught him from behind and shoved him to the ground. Poe had been lying on the field for nearly 5 minutes while people questioned whether he was actually hurt when Ravens coach John Harbaugh entered the game. Poe's injury almost caused the second half to start late. A minute or so before the third quarter began, he was removed from the field. The game between the mascots and the young football players was unexpectedly physical. As one of the players attempted to enter the end zone, a bear mascot shoved him off his feet. Midway through the third quarter, a replacement Poe entered the game to the delight of the M&T Bank Stadium crowd. He gave fans high fives. The Ravens were able to stave off Washington and win their 23rd straight preseason game despite losing Poe. Baltimore's season last year was ruined by injuries, as 25 players were at one point put on injured reserve. However, this was the Ravens' first injured mascot. No injury updates will be provided until week 1 of the regular season, a Ravens representative grinned after the game. Unfortunately, guys, that is all the time we had for today. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Till next time, cheers!